Good afternoon. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we began late and I'm going to try and keep to time. So welcome to this lunchtime session. My name's Daniel Hannan. I'm a British Conservative member of the European Parliament, editor of the Conservative magazine. Thank you all for being here, and congratulations to Amjad and to his staff for putting on this fantastic operation. I would argue that the central fact of politics over the last decade has been the rise on the left and the right of an anti-market populism of the kind that we hadn't experienced for decades. And I don't want to oversimplify. That rise has more than one single cause. But a large measure of what drove it was the financial crisis of 2008 and the way in which governments the world over responded to it. In the eyes of a lot of voters, the system was delegitimized. Money was taken through the tax system from low and medium income families in order, as it was perceived, to reward some very wealthy bankers and bondholders from the consequences of their own error. In other words, it seemed to vindicate the critique of the far left that the capitalist system was a sham and that it was all about keeping entrenched elites in positions of power. We're going to have a debate now on whether that could have been done differently, what the consequences would have been for good or ill. Were central banks the saviors who took the world from the brink of recession and restored financial order? Or were they the creators of the problem, having allowed interest rates to be too low for too long and thereby inflated the bubble in the first place? I'm delighted to be joined by two people who are perfectly qualified and placed to argue the respective sides of that case. I'm going to introduce both of them now and then hand over to them. So Jeff works for the IMF. There was probably the most famous of Bill Buckley's quotations, the great American conservative, is that he would rather be governed by 1,000 names chosen at random from the Boston Telephone Directory than by the economics faculty of Harvard University. So as a graduate of that faculty, Jeff will know that actually central bankers the world over tended to be graduates of Harvard or certainly adopted the same mentality. So he's in a way perfectly placed to tell us whether their collective attitude towards monetary policy was right or wrong. And Max Rangeley runs the Cobden Centre, which I'm very proud to be associated with. Richard Cobden was the great free trade radical in late Victorian Britain, and an example to all of the elected politicians in this room of how one man can change policy with sufficient determination. He took on a cause that was unpopular and unfashionable, and by sheer force of will and conviction, he brought others around to his point of view. The Cobden Centre has two great causes, one of which is Richard Cobden's crusade of free trade, but the other is sound money and particularly the critique of fractional reserve banking, which is the basis of the modern economy. So, gentlemen, I'm going to give you 12 minutes each, after which I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to be tough about the timing, because I want to leave time for a Q&A and questions from others.